49ers Super Bowl window shut. Aging stars, injuries, $53 million Purdy deal explained. The prospect of another Super Bowl appearance for the aging San Francisco 49ers appears increasingly unlikely. Last season, 4 teams ranked among the NFL's top 11 in both offensive yards per play and defensive yards allowed. Out of these, 3 teams advanced to the playoffs, including the eventual Super Bowl champions. The 4th team, however, found itself at the bottom of the NFC West, managing to secure only 1 more victory than the New Orleans Saints and the Carolina Panthers. This was the unfortunate reality for the 49ers, whose 2024 season was plagued by contract disputes, negative team dynamics, and the lingering disappointment of a Super Bowl defeat. With a disappointing record of 6 wins and 11 losses, their performance was a stark contrast to the Philadelphia Eagles, Baltimore Ravens, and Green Bay Packers, all of whom shared that top 11 ranking. The 49ers ranked 2nd in offensive yards per play and 7th in defensive performance, just shy of the top 5. However, many of the challenges they faced were not easily quantifiable. The team went through yet another defensive coordinator after Steve Wilks was unfairly blamed for their Super Bowl loss in overtime. Additionally, key veterans like Christian McCaffrey, Trent Williams, Nick Bosa, and the recently traded Deebo Samuel struggled with injuries or setbacks, compounded by having the worst special teams in the league. Despite the disheartening nature of that season, it was not entirely unexpected. A year ago, numerous executives and coaches had predicted a challenging season ahead for the 49ers. Now, with Samuel gone, fellow starting receiver Brandon Aiyuk sidelined indefinitely due to a serious injury, and Brock Purdy, once dubbed Mr. Irrelevant, now commanding a hefty $53 million annual salary. It's worth revisiting those predictions. As the team ages, with McCaffrey, Williams, and Bosa remaining crucial to their success, one must question whether the 49ers' window for capturing another Lombardi trophy has already closed. One NFL head coach who requested anonymity to avoid discussing an opponent remarked, "If you're suggesting the 49ers won't be competitive, you clearly didn't watch them last year. Even with all the injuries, they maintained a highly efficient offense. They did struggle in the secondary and had difficulty stopping opponents on 3rd down. However, with new defensive coordinator Robert Saleh, I believe they will regain their defensive energy. Staying healthy is crucial, especially for key players with injury histories. But if they can keep their running back, left tackle, and pass rusher fit, they will be formidable opponents." Conversely, not everyone shares this optimistic view. An anonymous NFL general manager expressed skepticism, stating, "They face challenges similar to ours, letting some players go while still aiming for victory." With Purdy's new contract, their ability to adapt and rebuild the roster is limited. I'm not convinced McCaffrey will remain healthy. We've seen this story before. Their age and health are significant concerns. While you could argue this for any team in football, it's particularly true for them. I believe the Rams are currently a stronger team, and it's a close call between Seattle and San Francisco after that. Purdy is facing a significant leap in expectations, and with a less than stellar offensive line, they might regret the size of his contract, much like Miami has with Tua Tagovailoa. Despite their impressive yardage statistics, ranking 4th in yards per passing attempt, and 7th in yards per rush, they were merely average in 3rd down and red zone efficiency, finishing 13th in offensive points per game, which is not typical for a Kyle Shanahan-led offense. Defensively, their performance was even more concerning. They ranked 24th on 3rd downs and 31st in the red zone. Coupled with their poor special teams, any genuine hope for a Super Bowl return seemed to evaporate by midseason. The effectiveness of their secondary remains uncertain, and it feels like ages since DeForest Buckner provided elite play at the interior defensive tackle position. 2nd-round draft pick Alfred Collins may need to step up sooner rather than later, and Bosa appears to be following a similar trajectory to his older brother Joey as he approaches his 28th birthday. with his sack numbers declining significantly over the past 2 seasons, recording half as many quarterback hits in 2024 compared to 2022. A seasoned scout who has closely monitored the 49ers but cannot publicly comment on his evaluations, reflected, "Do I believe Bosa is the same player he was in 2022? After a thoughtful pause, he continued, "No, I don't think he is. While he still demands attention due to his energy and effort, I noticed some concerning signs last year. When a player receives a significant contract, and considering the competitive nature of his family, one begins to wonder if his body might start to let him down, similar to what happened with his older brother." Scouts and executives continue to praise the 49ers linebackers, and it's undeniable that this defense was once fierce under Saleh, before his challenging tenure as head coach of the New York Jets. While there is potential for defensive improvement, the margin for error on offense is slim, especially without Samuel and Aiyuk and with Williams, arguably the best left tackle of his generation, possibly nearing the end of his career. No one will be evaluating Purdy's performance based on his draft status anymore, and the pressure of expectations is not to be underestimated. Regardless of your perspective on this team, the idea of another Super Bowl run seems quite ambitious. If Shanahan hopes to fulfill his coaching destiny and secure a championship like his father did, it will likely require more than the temporary roster adjustments made this offseason to achieve that goal. Isaiah Neyor's rise. 49ers 53-man roster predictions for 2025. The San Francisco 49ers find themselves in a pivotal situation regarding their wide receiver lineup, and it's a problem that could significantly impact their performance in the upcoming season. With their top receiver, Brandon Aiyuk, still recovering from serious knee injuries suffered last year, specifically ACL and MCL tears, the team's options at wide receiver are notably limited. Players like Jawan Jennings, Ricky Pearsall, and Jacob Cowing are also facing various injuries, adding to head coach Kyle Shanahan's challenges as the 2025 preseason approaches. But here's where it gets interesting. Shanahan and general manager John Lynch might consider a bold move to bolster their receiver core before the season kicks off. But they might also decide to take a chance on a sleeper candidate who has been turning heads during training camp, undrafted rookie Isaiah Neyor. Neyor has unexpectedly risen from obscurity to become a standout player in camp, making it nearly impossible to exclude him from Neyor's latest predictions for the 53-man roster. As we wrap up the second week of training activities, 49ers 53-man roster prediction, training camp edition. Note: players marked with an asterisk are rookies. Quarterback, 3. Brock Purdy, Mac Jones, Tanner Mordecai. There are no major surprises in the quarterback department. Purdy, following a significant contract extension, remains the frontrunner. Mac Jones, rejuvenated under Shanahan's guidance, is proving to be an effective option as well. Tanner Mordecai, a second-year player, looks likely to slot in as the emergency third-string quarterback. Meanwhile, San Francisco faces a decision regarding 7th-round draft pick Curtis Rourke, who is still recovering from an ACL injury he incurred during his college career. The team must determine whether to place him on injured reserve for the season or risk losing him if they choose to waive him with an injury designation. Running back 5. Kyle Juszczyk, Christian McCaffrey, Isaac Guerendo, Jordan James, Patrick Taylor Jr. This position reveals fewer unexpected developments, but there is a growing concern surrounding Jordan James's recent injury announcement. This situation could open the door for undrafted rookie Corey Kiner to earn a roster spot ahead of Week 1. However, Kiner has struggled with fumbles in practice, which complicates his chances to outdo Taylor, who has the added advantage of proving his value on special teams. Wide receiver, 6, Jawan Jennings, Ricky Pearsall, DeMarcus Robinson, Jacob Cowing, Jordan Watkins, Isaiah Neyor. The selection of Robinson remains uncertain, dependent on potential disciplinary actions from the NFL related to a DUI incident from the previous year. If a suspension is enforced, the the 49ers might turn to veteran receiver Russell Gage, who has performed well in training camp. With Aiyuk expected to begin the year on the physically unable to perform PUP list, Neyor's inclusion seems like a wise choice, although it might necessitate sacrifices from other positions to create room for him. For the time being, he could join the anticipated starting duo of Jennings and Pearsall, provided they are in good health. Tight end 3 is George Kittle, Luke Farrell, Braden Willis. George Kittle and Luke Farrell have secured their positions on the roster. The latter is likely safe due to his lucrative contract and valuable blocking skills, allowing Kittle to focus more on receiving. The competition for the third tight end slot is heating up among Braden Willis, Mason Pline, Jake Tonges, and veteran Ross Dwelly, although Shanahan has previously kept 4 tight ends. In this scenario, Willis earns the final spot. The first 5 positions on the offensive line appear largely determined, with Williams, Barch, Brendel, Pooney, and McKivitz anchoring the starting unit. Burford is under review as a potential swing tackle due to his mixed performances over the last 2 years, while Hennessy is braced to be a solid backup. The team's keen interest in Zakelj is intriguing, especially since he seems to have added weight during the offseason. Nugent is poised to take over as Brendel's backup in his second year. Defensive line: 10, Nick Bosa, Alfred Collins, CJ West, Michael Williams, Bryce Huff, Yetur Gross-Matos, Jordan Elliott, Kevin Givens, Sam Okuayinonu, Evan Anderson. The defensive line is undergoing a transformation with several newcomers who will need to acclimate quickly, especially with rookies Collins, Williams, and West expected to step in early on. This situation may compel Shanahan and Lynch to opt for a larger roster of 10 players. It wouldn't be surprising if defensive coordinator Robert Saleh advocates for this configuration until the rookies find their footing. However, Gross-Matos, Okuayinonu, and Anderson still need to keep up their performance levels to avoid being cut mid-season. Linebacker: 5. As Fred Warner, as D. Winters, Nick Martin, Chaz Surratt, Luke Gifford. The competition between Winters and rookie Martin appears tightly contested as they vie for the role left vacant by former linebacker Dre Greenlaw, who has joined the Denver Broncos. Regardless of the outcome, the non-winning candidate will likely transition into a strong-side linebacker position. Surratt was a deliberate off-season signee by Saleh, while Gifford brings notable value on special teams to the table, making him a secure player on the roster. Cornerback: 5. Diomodor Lenoir, Renardo Green, Upton Stout, Trey Brown, Suran Neal. The depth at cornerback behind Lenoir and Green is somewhat concerning, putting additional pressure on them to maintain health throughout the season. Stout seems to be establishing himself for the starting nickel cornerback role after being selected in the 3rd round of the last draft. The inclusion of Neal might surprise some fans, but with his substantial off-season contract, he is likely to secure a spot primarily based on his special teams performance. Safety: 4. Jair Brown, Jason Pinnock, Marquez Sigel, Richie Grant. Pinnock and Grant were among the first free agents signed by the 49ers last March, following recommendations from special teams coordinator Brant Boyer, with Malik Mustafa positioned to begin the season on the PUP list. Due to a late ACL injury last year, Pinnock has a good shot to be the starting safety alongside Brown, who is eager to redeem himself after being benched in late 2024. Sigel, however, may have aspirations to snatch one of the starting positions sooner rather than later. Special teams: 3. John Weeks, Thomas Morstead, Jake Moody. Boyer has entirely revamped the special teams unit, parting ways with punter Mitch Wishnowsky and bringing in Morstead, while also replacing long snapper Tabor Pepper with Weeks. The competition for the kicking position is heating up between the incumbent, Moody, and off-season acquisition, Greg Joseph. Although opinions may vary on who has the edge, this prediction leans toward Moody maintaining his role, at least for the time being. 3 49ers players poised to secure roster spots. The San Francisco 49ers roster is starting to take shape And while 43 players have already secured their spots on the official 53-man team, the preseason hasn't even kicked off yet. But here's where it gets interesting. Based on recent developments and training camp performances, there are at least 3 more players who look increasingly likely to become roster locks heading into the season. One of the biggest surprises from last year was Okuayinonu. Initially, his playing time mainly came because of injuries to players ahead of him, but this 2022 undrafted free agent ended up posting career-best numbers across the board, including snaps played. Granted, he came into the season with just over 100 snaps under his belt, so breaking new ground was within reach. Yet, Okuayinonu showed glimpses of real potential, flashing moments that suggest he could carry this momentum right into 2025. Training camp is shining a brighter spotlight on him, especially since Yetur Gross-Matos has struggled with health issues and has missed time. Likewise, Michael Williams has been inconsistent with availability. This opens a genuine opportunity for Okuayinonu to step up and prove himself. Early reports hint that he's doing just that, taking advantage of the cracks in the depth chart. Considering Gross-Matos' uncertain status, Williams' rookie adjustment period, and the limited snap count expected from Bryce Huff, it could be a smart move for the 49ers to keep a 5th pass rusher on the roster, likely Okuayinonu. Then there's a rookie safety who, as a 5th-round pick, might not have seemed like a guaranteed roster spot at first. He arrived into a competitive safety group and didn't have the draft pedigree that usually translates into immediate security. But things are shifting in his favor. What's working for him is solid, consistent play and notable contributions on special teams. One of the key ways rookies lock down a spot early on. The real kicker, 2 returning starters, Malik Mustapha and Jair Brown, haven't shown the kind of form the team would have hoped for so far. Mustapha is limited due to recovering from an ACL injury, which was anticipated, but his missed time only amplifies the need for safety depth. If Mustapha can't get activated early or before week 1, However, recent weeks have swung in his favor. Ben Bartch has faced some missed time and seems to be on a cautious schedule returning to full strength. Spencer Burford has been almost exclusively deployed at tackle, leaving some uncertainty at guard. Meanwhile, Connor Colby, a 7th-round rookie, is expected to need some developmental time, and Andre Dillard hasn't yet taken the field this preseason. Should Colby be assigned to the practice squad and Dillard cut? Zettel's spot on the active roster looks almost guaranteed. The bigger question surrounding Zettel now is whether he will supplant Bartch as a starter. Regardless of how that plays out, his solid standing on the team is clear. So, with these 3 players, Okuayinonu, the emerging safety rookie, and Zettel, the 49ers appear to have additional roster locks beyond the initial 43. This dynamic mix of surprise standouts, rookies stepping up, and strategic depth considerations underscores just how fluid and exciting the roster-building process can be before the regular season even begins. But here's the part most people miss. With injuries and performance still up in the air, could the team be making too cautious a call by leaning on these players? Are these moves based purely on potential, or have these guys truly earned their spots? What do you think? Are these players bona fide locks, or is the season still anyone's game? Share your take in the comments below.